What if I told you confidence isn't something you're born with? It's something you train like a muscle. You've been doubting yourself, letting failure define you. You see others succeed while you're stuck, invisible, unheard. You feel worthless when she ignores your call or treats you like a backup. You deserve better. You can become a man who commands respect from women, from life. Comment, worth it, if you refuse to live small any longer. Number 1, say no without feeling guilty. If you're always saying yes to avoid upsetting people, your life isn't yours. It belongs to the expectations of others. And most men don't realize how deep this goes until they wake up one day completely disconnected from who they were supposed to become. You go to the party you didn't want to go to. You answer the call you didn't want to answer. You pick her up after work when she didn't even say thank you the last 5 times. You work extra hours for a manager who would replace you tomorrow if you slipped up once. You say yes to her, to them, to society, to pressure, to obligation, until your own voice is too faint to hear. But deep down, it's not that you don't know what you want. You do. You just think that what you want doesn't matter enough. And this belief kills your confidence before it even gets a chance to grow. You think you're being nice, agreeable, responsible, but you're just scared. Scared of being seen as difficult, scared of being alone, scared of not being liked. And women can smell this fear. People exploit it. Because when you can't say no, you become predictable, bendable, and easily replaced. You think you're building connection, but you're building quiet resentment. You say yes to her request for help, but inside you're hoping she notices how much you give. You think maybe, just maybe, she'll see your loyalty and choose you. But that's not how it works. The truth is, the more you say yes to avoid loss, the more you lose yourself. Every yes that doesn't come from power drains it. And the guilt you feel when you say no, that's not real guilt. That's fear of disapproval dressed up as virtue. You were taught to serve others before yourself, to be agreeable, to be the nice guy. And what did that get you? A relationship where you walk on eggshells, a career where your work is invisible, a life where your needs are always second. Saying no is not about being selfish. It's about remembering you have a right to exist as your own man, that your time, energy, focus, attention, it all belongs to you. And unless you protect it, no one else will. Confidence grows every time you honor yourself, especially when it's hard. The first time you say no, you'll feel anxious. Your body will tell you you're doing something wrong, but you're not. You're finally doing something real. You're choosing you. The woman who leaves when you say no to something unreasonable. She was never there for you anyway. The friend who disappears when you put up boundaries, they were never a friend. The job that punishes you for having self-respect, it was never your future. You're not here to please people who gain from your silence. You're here to protect your path. Because when you start saying no to what drains you, you'll finally have room to say yes to what builds you. Imagine waking up and having a full day of energy, not because you slept more, but because you stopped giving it to people who didn't deserve it. Imagine being in a relationship where you lead, where your voice matters, where your decisions shape the future instead of waiting to be validated. That's what saying no unlocks. It's clarity, it's peace, it's power. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your life just because they expect it. Start small. Say no to the things you resent doing. Then work your way up. Decline invitations that exhaust you. Turn down favors that disrespect your time. Walk away from conversations that drain your energy, not with anger, not with arrogance, but with certainty, with presence, with confidence. You'll lose some people, but you'll gain yourself. And once that happens, no one can ever take you from you again. And to help you get there faster, I've put everything I've learned about reclaiming your power, rebuilding your identity, and navigating modern relationships into the Stoic relationship blueprint, a transformative guide built on timeless Stoic principles designed specifically for men who are done playing small. This isn't just a book, it's a complete shift in how you think, act, lead, and love. And now, for the first time, it's available as an audiobook, so you can listen to it while walking, training, driving, or simply reclaiming your day. This is your edge in a world that's tried to make you soft, confused, and dependent. They don't want you to think clearly. They don't want you to lead. They don't want you to have this kind of clarity, because when you do, you're no longer easy to manipulate. You're no longer chasing love. You're choosing purpose. The link is in the comments. Once you get it, it's yours for life. And once you listen, you won't just understand your past, you'll know exactly how to rewrite your future. Number 2, start before you're ready. You are never going to feel ready. That perfect day where the stars align, fear disappears, and you feel fully confident. It doesn't exist. And if you keep waiting for that feeling, you'll wait forever. Most men live their entire lives on the edge of action, right at the starting line, convincing themselves they'll begin when they have more knowledge, more time, more money, more clarity. And in the meantime, their goals decay. Their relationships become routine. Their purpose rots in the background. You scroll past opportunities that intimidate you. You dream about what you could do, but always add someday to the end. But there is no someday. There's only now. And every time you choose hesitation over movement, fear wins. Most of the fear you feel isn't real danger. It's the fear of how you might be perceived. What if I mess up? What if I look stupid? What if I fail? But failure isn't what holds you back. It's the fear of people seeing you fail, the fear of embarrassment, and you've been conditioned to avoid it at all costs. But embarrassment doesn't kill you. What kills you is potential unused. Regret is heavier than any temporary discomfort. Confidence comes not from success, but from motion, from proving to yourself that you can act even when you're uncertain, even when you're scared, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. That's when the transformation happens. Look at anyone you admire. They weren't confident before they acted. They built confidence because they acted. They stepped into arenas where they were unqualified, unprepared, unsure. And that's where they found their strength. You think you need more before you start. But the truth is, you gain more by starting. You gain clarity through mistakes. You gain wisdom through rejection. You gain power by choosing to move while others stay frozen. And yes, you'll feel the fear. The voice that tells you you're not ready will scream louder the closer you get to real action. But do it anyway. Press record, make the call, book the flight, quit the job, have the conversation, tell her the truth. Because every time you override that voice, you become stronger, you become real. You don't need another year of thinking. You need 5 seconds of bravery, and then you need to do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Because consistency is more important than intensity. Don't try to change your entire life in a day. Start with one bold move, something small but real. Speak up when you normally stay quiet. Try what you've been putting off, and then reward yourself, not for the result, but for the courage, because that's what confidence actually is, the willingness to do hard things before you feel ready. You want to change your life? Stop planning it and start living it. No one's going to hand you permission. No one's going to beg you to start. The world is too distracted to notice the potential you're wasting. You're the only one who can flip the switch. And once you do, you'll realize the fear was never real. It was just the cost of transformation, and you were always worth paying it. Number 3, set small wins daily. You're not tired because life is too hard. You're tired because you've been waking up every day without a win. That deep exhaustion you carry, that mental fog, that quiet dread before getting out of bed, it's not because your job is too demanding or your responsibilities are too heavy. It's because you've been living on autopilot, floating from one obligation to another without any fire behind your eyes. You go through your day doing what you must, but never what moves you. You chase comfort, avoid challenge, and at the end of it all, you have nothing to show yourself that you actually progressed. And men are not built to survive like this. You need progress. You need proof that you are evolving, that you are not the same man you were yesterday, not just in your head, not just in your journals, but in your actions, your results, your track record. Most men have goals, but very few have wins. You talk about the business you'll start, the body you'll build, the life you'll create. But how many of your days actually reflect the future you say you want? You say you'll get in shape, but it's been 3 years of broken promises. You say you want to be financially free, but every night you escape into distractions. You say you want to lead, but you still struggle to lead yourself. And it's not that you're lazy, it's that your system is broken. You wait for motivation. You wait to feel like it. You wait for everything to be perfect before you act. And you keep falling into the same cycle. Start strong, miss one day, then give up for a month. That's not discipline. That's emotional gambling. Confidence doesn't come from talking about your goals. It comes from doing something about them every single day, no matter how small. Small wins are the seeds of transformation. You don't need to run a marathon on day one. You need to wake up and make your bed. You need to write your goals down on paper. You need to say no to that one distraction. You need to take one cold shower, one walk without your phone, one rep in the gym, one focused hour of work without escape. And you need to do that every day. Because every time you complete something meaningful, your brain whispers, "We're making progress." And every time you break your word to yourself, that voice fades. You stop trusting yourself, you stop believing, and eventually you stop trying. But that can change today. You don't need to transform overnight. You just need a streak. Start with 3 days. 3 days of small, deliberate, intentional actions that align with who you want to become. Then stretch it to a week, then a month. Stack wins so ruthlessly that failure has no room to land. Track your actions. Reward your consistency. Not with food, not with scrolling, but with reflection. Look yourself in the eyes and say, "I showed up." That's where true confidence lives, not in results, but in effort repeated with integrity. The woman who lost interest in you didn't do it because you weren't tall enough, rich enough, handsome enough. She left because you stopped winning. You stopped inspiring. You stopped being a man of movement, and she felt it. People don't follow your potential, they follow your momentum. And the only way to build that is to give yourself wins every single day. Not to impress others, not to post about it, but because that's how you stop feeling weak. That's how you replace shame with self-respect. That's how you walk into a room and don't need to speak to command attention, because you know you've been doing the work when no one's watching. And if you're wondering where to start simple. Wake up early before the world demands your attention. Hydrate before your phone steals your focus. Move your body before your mind can talk you out of it. Block 1 hour every day to move the needle on something that matters. And protect that hour like your future depends on it. Because it does. You're not going to wake up one day magically transformed. You're going to earn it, inch by inch, with invisible, repetitive, unsexy action that most men are too lazy or too distracted to do, and that's exactly why it works. Because when you become the man who can string together wins, no matter how small, you become unstoppable. You no longer rely on hype, applause, or external pressure. You rely on you. Your word becomes law. Your calendar becomes sacred. Your time becomes currency. and your life begins to reshape itself around your decisions. You'll notice people treat you differently. Doors open, eyes follow, respect increases, and not because you faked it, but because you built it. Day by day, win by win, small steps, executed with unwavering commitment, that snowball into unshakable confidence. And one day, when you look back, you won't see a single event that changed your life. You'll see 1,000 small choices that no one else saw, but you did, and they made all the difference. Number 4, make eye contact. Most men today walk around pretending they're invisible, not because they want to be unseen, but because they're terrified of being truly seen. You look down when a man walks past you. You pretend to scroll when a woman makes eye contact. You avoid the gaze of people speaking to you because somewhere along the line you were made to believe that being looked at meant being judged, and being judged meant being exposed. But what you don't realize is that the world respects what holds its ground, and nothing shows grounding like the man who can hold another's gaze. Making eye contact isn't about dominance. It's about being comfortable with who you are in that moment, regardless of what they see. It's about no longer needing to shrink, hide, flinch, or prove. It's about finally accepting that you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be present, and eye contact is presence in its purest form. When you lock eyes with someone and don't break first, you tell the world that you've stopped apologizing for existing. You're not here to impress. You're not here to be accepted. You're here because you have something to say, something to build, something to protect, and you're not going anywhere. Most men flinch under pressure because they've never learned how to stand still in discomfort. Eye contact is uncomfortable at first because it exposes you to what's real. No filter, no screen, no room to hide. But that discomfort, that's the threshold between the man you are and the man you're supposed to be. Every time you hold eye contact when you want to look away, you tell your body that fear doesn't run the show anymore. You rewire your brain to stay still in pressure, and that's when presence is born. Presence is the man who speaks less, but gets listened to more. It's the man whose silence is felt more than others shouting. It's the man who walks into a room and without saying a word, shifts the energy, because he's anchored. And that anchor starts with the way he looks at the world and the way he allows it to look back. But let's talk about how this actually shows up. You walk into a room and see a group of people. Do you look down and walk fast to your seat? Or do you stand tall, scan the room, make eye contact, nod once if needed, and take your space with calm certainty? You're on a date and she challenges you, testing you like they always do, not because she wants to see if you'll win, but because she wants to see if you'll collapse. Do you stutter, over-explain, break eye contact, and rush to reassure? Or do you hold her gaze, stay still, and let the silence speak your confidence without needing to prove anything? You're in a business meeting. The pressure is high. People are looking at you for a decision. Do you dodge the tension? Or do you meet every gaze like a man who's used to being tested and doesn't mind passing or failing because he's solid either way? This is where true self-respect begins, not in how you dress or how you speak, but in how you look at others and let yourself be looked at. Because when you've done the work behind the scenes, there's nothing to fear in the light. But most men haven't done the work. That's why they flinch. That's why they avoid eye contact. That's why they pretend to be busy when someone approaches. They know deep down that they're not walking with integrity, and the fear of being seen as a fraud forces them into hiding. But the man who lives in alignment has nothing to fear. He doesn't need to puff his chest. He doesn't need to dominate. He doesn't need to prove. He simply looks, straight, calm, still. And everyone around him feels it, even if they can't describe it. It makes people nervous, curious, respectful. You don't need to say a word. You just need to look. Unbroken, unapologetic, steady. And if you want to build this, you can start today. Start with strangers. Hold the gaze 1 second longer than you're comfortable. Then 2. Practice on yourself. Look yourself in the face, not to find flaws, but to become familiar with what your power looks like when it's no longer hiding. When you speak to people, don't look away when they challenge you. Don't flinch when they test you. Stay grounded. Let them feel your presence instead of filling it with words. And don't use eye contact to intimidate or perform. Use it to anchor, to say, "I'm here," fully. Without apology, you'll feel awkward at first. Your heart will race. Your instincts will scream at you to look away. Don't. Sit in it. Stay in it. Because what's on the other side is a man who can't be shaken by a woman's opinion, a boss's judgment, a crowd's reaction. A man who moves through the world not to be seen, but because he sees clearly. And when you can look the world in the eye, you've already won, not because they approved, but because you stopped seeking it. Number 5, let go of the past. There are men right now dragging their entire future through the mud of memories they should have left behind years ago. Men who wake up every day replaying the same betrayal, the same heartbreak, the same missed opportunity, the same moment where they felt powerless, abandoned, or unseen. And the most painful part? They don't even realize how much it's costing them. You think you're just remembering, but you're reliving. You're rebuilding the prison. Every time you think about what she did, what they said, what you lost, you are pouring fresh cement around your feet, wondering why you can't move forward. You cling to the past, thinking it's justice, but what it really is a leash. You say you're over her, but every time you see her name pop up, it shakes you. You say it doesn't affect you anymore, but you still talk about it when no one's asking. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Healing is not waiting for time to do the work. It's not burying it under distractions. It's not pretending you don't care. Healing is a decision, a conscious, deliberate, repeated act of choosing peace over pain. Every single day, and no one is going to do it for you. You think you're being strong by holding on, but you're just being stubborn. You think that by remembering every detail, you'll protect yourself from ever being hurt again. But all you're doing is ensuring the pain becomes your identity. You don't trust women not because all women are bad, but because you've tied your belief system to one who lied, one who manipulated, one who used your loyalty as a stepping stool on her way to the next thrill. And while you're here overthinking what you could have done differently, she's out there smiling in selfies, reposting quotes about self-love, rewriting the past to make herself the victim. And that might feel unfair, but it's reality. And the longer you stay in that reality, the less time you spend building your own. You want revenge? Success is revenge. Discipline is revenge. Presence is revenge. Living in such alignment that you no longer need to prove anything to anyone who didn't see your worth the first time. But to get there, you have to let go. Not forget, not deny, but release. Because if you don't, you will become a slave to ghosts, and ghosts make terrible advisors. They whisper fear into your ambition. They turn your standards into suspicion. They convince you that the safest move is no move. And that's how you lose, not with a loud crash, but with quiet compromise. You stop trying. You stop trusting. You stop becoming. Letting go doesn't mean she was right. It doesn't mean it didn't hurt. It means you value your future more than your anger. It means you are no longer willing to carry the weight that's not yours. You think you're honoring the pain by keeping it close, but what you're doing is abandoning your potential in the name of a past that's not coming back. It already happened. The only question is whether you'll let it keep happening in your mind. You've suffered enough. The question is, are you addicted to that suffering? Because some men are. It gives them identity. It gives them an excuse. It gives them a reason to stay small. But not you. Not anymore. You're not here to become bitter. You're here to become unshakable, and that begins the moment you say, "I am done being defined by what happened to me." That begins the moment you stop needing closure and start building character. That begins when you stop waiting for someone to fix it and realize no one's coming, and that's your greatest power. Forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgive not because you're weak, but because you're tired of handing over your present to people who already took your past. Release it all, the betrayal, the injustice, the heartbreak. Burn it in the furnace of your discipline and let the flames refine you into someone they never saw coming. Because when you finally let go, you're no longer reactive, you're focused, and that's when your confidence returns. That's when your decisions start to align. That's when you look in the mirror and see a man who has scars. Yes, but those scars are no longer open wounds. They are reminders of what you survived, what you overcame, what built you. And if you let them harden into wisdom, not bitterness, you will become the type of man who cannot be controlled by any woman, any past, or any failure. You will walk into rooms and feel no need to prove yourself. You will lead conversations without chasing validation. You will rebuild your body, your money, your energy, not to impress, but because you finally respect yourself enough to invest. All of that begins the moment you choose to let go. Not in theory, not in words, but in action. Stop checking the profile. Stop texting. When you're lonely, stop romanticizing a version of her that never existed. Stop telling your story as if it still defines you. Today is the only chance you get to walk forward, but you can't do that with your neck turned backward. So take one final look if you must, but make it the last. Not because the past deserves it, but because your future does. If you're still here, it's because you feel it. Deep down, you know something's been missing. The respect, the clarity, the power. They don't teach you how to lead in a world that profits from your confusion. But you're not meant to be another distracted, broken man. You're meant to think, to build, to lead. The Stoic relationship blueprint was created for this exact moment, packed with timeless Stoic principles to transform your confidence, relationships, and mindset immediately. And now it's available as an audiobook, so you can absorb this life-changing wisdom while you walk, drive, train, or grind. Society would rather you stay passive, distracted, and weak. Don't give them that win. The link's in the comments. Grab it now, because once this knowledge is yours, it's yours for life. Comment, "I'm done being lost." Like the video, subscribe, and share this with another man who needs to hear the truth.